Well, hello everybody. As Zach mentioned, my name is Attah Obande, and I am the Director of Dream Fulfillment at Spring GR. I am a husband to an amazing wife. I am the father to 5 slightly crazy children. I am the founder and president of Agua Design Group, a speaking consultancy firm. I am the partner and COO of Ineffable Socks, a sock brand that for a cause. I'm an adjunct professor here at Grace. I'm a worship leader at my church, Madison Square Church. I am all these things. But there is one I am that goes through all of those things, and that is that I'm a leader. And I choose to lead every day. I choose to be a leader in all these different capacities to the teams that have been entrusted to me. But it wasn't always like that. I didn't always see myself as a leader. I didn't always have this vision of leading every day, partly because the image I had in my head of what a leader looked like was nothing like who I was. So like some of you probably have an image of what a leader is, and that image might be similar to mine, which was someone that's tall and charismatic and full of wisdom and bold and strong and loud and whatever else. But that was my image. And growing up, I was everything but that. I was the little kid in the room. I was the smallest person in my class pretty much till I graduated high school. Literally the smallest guy and the smallest person, whether it's a guy or a girl. Shortest and smallest. So I grew up with little man syndrome, but not the Napoleon syndrome, which is try to mask it by hiding behind big things, because I felt like that only further made me look smaller. So I was just a small kid in the room and I just thought nothing of it. So what I want to do today is just kind of share with you my journey to embracing leadership and how all of this changed, in hopes that you will realize that you too are a leader in whatever capacity it is that you find yourself in. So before I start, I want to give you guys a little bit of context. So I grew up in Nigeria, born and raised Jos, Nigeria, family of 4, second born kid. As I said, I was a little one. I was actually smaller than my little brother and my little sister, so that complex ran deep. Graduated from high school, came up here for college, came right to West Michigan, went up to Calvin. Now, when I graduated from Calvin, the economy was just really starting to take its turn, starting to go down. And I was trying to figure out what to do. I was a graphics design marketing major, and I knew I wasn't going to find a job in graphics design or marketing with the economy what it was. So I got into banking. And the plan was get into banking, ride the bad economy wave for a few years, then get out and do something that I really wanted to do. Now, as it turns out, when I got into banking, I got in as a teller. Within the last couple of months of my college days, used getting in as an internship as an easy way in. And I was working part-time, and the sales thing came easy to me. So I was the lead salesperson in the branch, full-time, part-time, beating out all the other tellers, including my supervisor. And so within 4 months, my manager approached me and said, would you be interested in the manager training program? And I was like, what is it? It's a 2-year program. You work every position in the branch with special training. You graduate out, and then you're ready to be a manager. Well, I was like, sure. You know what I mean? It's better pay. It's something consistent. So I got into it, and that began my banking career. Now, after I graduated out of the program and I got placed into a branch, actually I got recruited by another bank for my first actual management job. The first year was hard because, again, I did not see myself as a leader. I hadn't embraced leadership. And so because of that, I didn't feel like I could really do anything with the folks that have been entrusted to me. And so that's context for where we are. Now, there's a few stages in me learning or choosing to embrace leadership that happened. First one happened probably about 5 years into my banking career. So now this is my second year as a manager. And I'd actually embraced being a manager, but not a leader. And so I was managing my team. We're doing well, partly because I was managing with a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove somebody wrong. That was the whole reason I did it. But we were doing well. We led the district in account sales for the entire year. I was recognized every month as a leading branch in sales, and things were just going well. And at this time, I started having this vision. There's a vision that I just couldn't shake. Happened the first time, and I was like, whoa, what was that? That was weird. That was different. And I just kind of like left it alone like a bad dream, right? But it wouldn't leave. I would see it during the day, I would dream about it at night, and I couldn't make any sense of it. It quite frankly, it scared me because I wasn't sure what the heck this thing was about. But I didn't know what to do with it. But I just remember that I was freaked out. Now I'm gonna pause the story there, and I'm gonna fast forward to 5 years later. So now this is the last 5 years of my time in banking. Things are a little bit different now. I'm still doing well. I'm moving from branch to branch and growing my branches, having more and more people under my responsibility, managing branches with more money on deposit. But I wasn't happy. I didn't feel fulfilled. There was something missing. I was just kind of going through the motions. And the way I like to tell the story is on the 1st and 15th, I got short-term amnesia. I get direct deposit, it'll look good, and I'd be like, this isn't so bad. But when people would ask me, what's your 5-year plan, what's your 3-year plan, I would always say in 5 years, I'm moving out of banking. In 2 years, I'll be out of banking. In a year, I'll be out of banking. But I never took time to think about what the heck that looked like. So I remember being on a mission trip and sharing my story once. And I felt like God was telling me, okay, Attah, your time in banking is done. Let's move on. But I didn't take time to sit down and think about it. And this lady told me, sometimes God will tell you something in private, and if you don't listen, he makes it public. Well, he made it public in September of 2013, and I got fired from my job as a banker. And it wasn't devastating. I'd never been written up, no warnings or anything like that. I was just kind of like, okay, this is just clearly God saying, okay, Attah, it's time for you to move on. And I looked at it as an opportunity to get out of banking, because I knew I needed to do something different. So I remember telling friends and family and old colleagues that I was moving on. They're like, why? Like, you've got 10 years in this thing. You've got a good track record. Just go to another bank. You'll do well. I'm like, no, it's not for me. So this began like a 4-month journey of just kind of self-reflection and awareness to see what the heck it was that I wanted to do. And so there's a few things that happened in this time that were the next steps in me beginning to choose to embrace leadership. One of the things that happened here was I started to read a lot of books on purpose and passion, because I was like, what is my place? What is my fingerprint that I need to leave on this world that only I can leave, that'll make things different than they were when I got here? And I started asking myself that question. And I'm reading books, and I'm reading articles, and I'm watching TED Talks. Maybe they would have been Ken Talks back then, but I'm watching them just to try to figure out what the heck I wanted to do. And that led me in the direction of starting a business. But in that time, I was also praying and trying to listen to God for what it was this next step was going to be. And as we all know how Scripture works, our Scripture is living and breathing. And you could read a verse today that's just kind of like, oh, that's cool. And you read it tomorrow, and it just speaks to you at a deeper level. Well, I came across Proverbs 18:16. Some of you probably know what that is. But the verse says, a man's gift makes room for him and puts him before great men, right? So I'm like, all right, well, what is my gift? What is my gift that will make room for me in this world? And so I started asking myself that question. Also around that time, my wife and I were going out to Detroit for a concert. We were going out with our pastor and his wife to watch a concert. And while we're driving out there, we're just getting into Detroit, and there's a billboard on the side of the road that as we're driving, I look at, and it just kind of halts me again. And it was a billboard with silhouettes of individuals, 4 or 5 silhouettes. And you know you're great when all we need to see is a silhouette and we know who you are. So it was a silhouette of people like MLK, Gandhi, like Steve Jobs, like Michael Jordan, or something like that. And the billboard just simply read, what does your greatness look like? It was for some university. I don't even know what it was. But I remember seeing the silhouettes and what does your greatness look like? And so I started asking that question. So what is my fingerprint? What does my greatness look like? What is my impact? Because these are 5 different people, 5 different walks of life, all of them, most of them from different times in history. But the one unifying thing was they all had impact on the world through the gift that they had that they served. So I'm asking myself, what does your greatness look like? What is your gift? What is your impact supposed to look like? So now I'm going to rewind again back to this vision that I was having while I was driving home on my lunch break one day, and I'm thinking about this vision, like, what the heck is this thing? And I'm trying to figure out who I can talk to ask if they can give me any kind of clarity or whatever on this vision. And I lost my mom probably about 9 or 10 years before this, because she probably would have been the first person I called, right? Because parents have a way of not judging you too much when you've got something. Because this was a vision that I didn't feel comfortable sharing with just anybody. So there's a woman that goes to my church who had kind of adopted me, so to speak, as a son after I lost my mom. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to call her and see if she can make sense of this thing for me. So I call her up. I'm like, hey, Mama, this is Attah. Can I talk to you about something that I've been kind of dealing with? And she's like, yeah, you know, what's going on? And I'm like, I've been having this vision, and I can't make any sense of it. And quite honestly, it's starting to freak me out. Like, I just have no clue what this vision is all about. And she's like, okay, you know, let me hear it. So I say, okay. So I have this vision of me, and I'm standing before a sea of people as far as my eyes can see. And it's literally hundreds of thousands of people. And it's little old me standing in front of them and speaking to them. And they're actually listening to me. And I was like, and it's freaking me out, because I work at a bank, and this has nothing to do with what I do, and I don't know what the heck is going on. And she's quiet. She's like, okay. And she's like, and you're sure it's you? I'm like, I think so. But I just can't shake this vision. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, and it's freaking me out. And she's like, you know what, Attah? She's like, I think that's a vision of impact. And I'm like, okay. Then she's like, I think it's a vision of impact and impacting people. And then she's like, but I want you to be sure not to miss some things. She's like, don't ever underestimate the power of an individual's impact. I was like, what does that mean? And she said, when we think about impact, oftentimes we think about the greats. We think about the MLKs, the Steve Jobs, the Michael Jordans, the Gandhis, the Mother Teresas in the world. And that's not a bad thing. She's like, but we don't think about the people that were impactful in sparking the dream in those people. We don't think about the teachers that they spend time with. We don't think about the friends that they were around that impacted them, or the people that they saw that did things that they were like, this is wrong, that impacted them to do the things that they did. So she's like, I don't know whether that vision is saying that you are going to be somebody like an MLK or whoever, but don't discredit the people that impacted those people. And I was like, wow, okay. Like, I never thought about it that way. And I was like, okay, so we can't all be MLK, but we can have impact on others. But then there's another side to that coin as well. The same way there were people that impacted MLK and Michael Jordan and LeBron and whoever else you think is great, there were people on the other side that led other people, like Hitler and Bin Laden, and you fill in the blank of who that person is. And there were people that led them as well. And so as we go out and we live each day in the various capacities that we have, we need to understand that we are always leading, because somebody is always watching. And so one of the things that left me there and made me really embrace the reality of leadership is the fact that somebody is always watching. So whether we choose to be leaders or not, whether we choose to accept leadership or not, it doesn't matter, because we are always leading. And so it is up to us then to embrace the reality that we are always leading and accept the responsibility to lead. Not just the people that choose to follow us, but the people that haven't chosen but just happen to be watching. So just remember, you're always leading because somebody's always watching.